We can learn about ourselves by identifying what irritates us about others. In every chaos, there is a cosmos, and in every disorder, there is a secret order. The sole purpose of human existence is to bring light to the darkness of mere beings. Torture is not done by healthy men. It is usually those who have been tortured who turn into torturers. Brilliant teachers are remembered with admiration, but those who touch the hearts of humans are remembered with gratitude. Although there are many raw materials in the curriculum, warmth is the most crucial to a plant's growth and the soul of a child's flourishing. Like vintage years of wine, we are born in a certain place and time and possess the qualities of the season and the year of our birth. Astrology claims nothing more than that. In the absence of conscious awareness of an inner situation, fate appears from the outside. In the mind, the pendulum oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. We deceive ourselves constantly through pride. Nevertheless, a still, small voice whispers to us that something is out of tune deep within the average conscience. Rather than the intellect creating something completely unrelated, it is the play instinct acting from an inner necessity that does so. Playing with objects you love is the act of the creative mind. A mystery is often solved by hands that the intellect has failed to solve. Among instincts, archetypes represent the collective unconscious. Every individual has instincts and archetypal images, just as he is endowed with instincts. I will cure a sane man if you show me one. It is always neurosis that substitutes for legitimate suffering. Our dreams are our soul's guiding words. Is there a reason why I shouldn't start loving my dreams and making their riddling images the objects of my daily reflection? There have been hundreds of patients I have treated. Among those over 35 in their second half of life, there has never been one whose last resort has not been to find a religious outlook. If intense conflicts are overcome, there is a sense of security and calm that cannot be easily disturbed. Only through these intense conflicts and their conflagrations can a lasting and worthwhile result be accomplished. What percentage of us have realized that history is not just a book, but lives in every living being? If human longevity had no meaning for the species, people would not live to be 70 or 80 years old. Life's afternoons must also have a significance of their own, and they cannot be just an afterthought for the mornings. In order to become conscious, man must become aware of the contents of his unconscious. Psychological epidemics are always bred by the masses. When young, it is almost sinful or even dangerous to be too preoccupied with oneself, but in old age, it is a duty and necessity to devote serious attention to oneself. People who promise everything will never fulfill their promises. In addition, those who promise too much are at risk of using evil means to fulfill their promises. This is already leading them to perdition. Despite our glowing hearts, there is a secret unrest that gnaws at the roots of our being. We have become accustomed to dealing with the unconscious. People today have complexes, as everyone knows. Though less well known, complexes can have us, which is far more significant theoretically. I find the word belief difficult to comprehend. I don't believe in it. I must have a reason for a certain hypothesis. Either I know a thing, and then I know it, I don't need to believe it. A life spent shrinking away from death is unhealthy and abnormal, and it takes away the purpose of the second half. A Christian missionary may preach the gospel to naked heathens, but the spiritual heathens who populate Europe have never heard of Christianity. Unlike machines, men cannot be repurposed to serve different purposes as the occasion demands. This is in the hope that it will keep functioning as regularly as before, but in a different way. Throughout his structure is written the history of mankind. He carries his entire past around with him. As the most highly developed and differentiated symbol of the self, aside from the Buddha, the Christ symbol is of paramount significance for psychology. Our ability to observe instincts in animals and primitives is far greater than our ability to observe our own. The reason for this is that we have become accustomed to scrutinizing our own actions and trying to explain them rationally. While understanding does not cure evil, it is definitely useful for coping with incomprehensible darkness. As Darwin represents the normal extrovert thinking type, Kant represents the normal introverted thinking type. Using facts, one speaks, whereas the other relies on subjective judgment. In contrast to Darwin, Kant focuses on a critique of knowledge rather than the whole field of objective reality. Founded in Middle Ages natural philosophy, alchemy bridged two worlds, Gnosticism in the past, and modern psychology of the unconscious in the future. Creative work cannot be born without this play with fantasy. Playing with imagination owes us an incalculable debt. One sometimes has to ask oneself whether a little less talent might not have been better if there was no discrepancy between the genius and his human qualities. In the end, psychoneurosis can be understood as the suffering of a soul that has not found its purpose. At first, consciousness emerges like separate islands from the unconscious psychic life of the child, and then gradually unites to form a continuous landmass of consciousness. Consciousness extends as a result of progressive mental development,